Hello guys and welcome to What the Tech episode 17. My name is Adam Lobo.
And I'm Vernon and I'm back.
Yes, today we have tons of news. Speaking of the news, we do have a total of 4 different news for today. And as usual, we also have our community segment, a very interesting question asked again. I say this before and I'll say it before many times every single week that it is nice to get the community segment thing because it's a nice thing that we can discuss. Now, in case y'all did not tune in last week, what happened is that we asked a question on what are the preferred lenses as the secondary lenses. And it was a very interesting topic because initially we thought it was going to be an ultra-wide lens, but eventually it was the telephoto lens. And we started asking the question to ourselves. And eventually we did agree with you all. So yeah, keep those amazing answers coming. And of course, if you have any questions or any topics that you would like for us to discuss, let us know in the comment section below, or you can always answer our YouTube community post that we have every single week. Okay, the first news for the week or for today's discussion is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge release.
Sorry, I
know. So before the reviews were out, last week, the week before, whenever we had this conversation, Vernon always said these particular words. What was the words?
What did I say?
What did he say?
I don't know. Who asked for this?
Yes. Who asked for this? Yeah. So what's interesting is that Vernon has been saying this every single week about like who asked for this, but eventually a lot of reviewers also felt the same way. Like
about the S25 Edge,
like Marques Brownlee said it, Dave 2D said it. Yeah. So everybody was questioning, it's like, who actually needs or who is asking for a thinner smartphone? So
apparently even Samsung doesn't know whether people want this phone, right?
Yeah. So
which is also why it's not coming to Malaysia.
Yeah, so that is a interesting thing
disappoints.
That we need to talk about that. But just for a TLDR situation, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge comes with a 5.8 mm thin or thickness, depending on how exactly you want to say. 163 grams, so it is one of the lightest phones ever, like in the 2025 generation. It has a 6.7-inch AMOLED 120Hz screen, but no anti-glare coating like the flagships. Because the anti-glare coating for Samsung phones has been top-notch. That's one of the reasons how other flagships and Samsung flagships differentiates is because the anti-glare coating is really amazing. Unfortunately, this Edge version does not have that. It comes with a Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is good because we all know that it is a very good chipset. One of the best from Snapdragon. 200 megapixel main, but a 12 megapixel ultra-wide. So before we go into that, I have 1, 2, 3 questions to ask you. Number 1.
Oh, 3 questions for me.
Yeah, I'll ask you.
That's cool.
Because we want to know your thoughts about this. First of all, who asked for this? Answer your own question. Second of all, no silicon carbon battery, only 3,900 milliamps of battery. God knows how long that's going to last. And any guess why that it's not going to come to Malaysia because even Singapore has it. So let's start off with answering your own question about who asked for this.
Nobody asked for this. And I feel that we're going backtracking 15 years or 10 years at least. Remember the Oppo R5?
Yep.
That was the thinnest phone in the world at 4.83.
Good point.
So when we're talking 5.8, is it the thinnest phone in the world? Nope, we've done it before. But the question is, why are we doing it again? Because I think in that era, it was an era of maybe the iPhone 6, iPhone 6S, beautiful phones, super slim. And then everybody copied. Everybody went on the same bandwagon, super slim phones. At that time, one camera, which was okay. But why are we back here? Why are we back in that game of super slim? Maybe it's because there's nothing else to talk about.
Okay.
Phones have become maybe so good and the baseline is so good that there's nothing extra to talk about aside from maybe AI, which actually what Samsung is pushing with the S25 Edge, aside from the engineering for making such a small phone. So,
Speaking of being first, you've got a point there. But with the rumors circulating with iPhone having their own Air version, is Samsung going to start again this so-called thing, even though nobody's asking for it? But it seems like Apple, if the rumors were true, if they're going to release the Air version, do you think that they are starting a new trend even though nobody asked for it?
It is going to be a new trend. I mean, it's a talking point. Something to talk about, something different to talk about aside from specs and maybe displays or cameras and AI. Thank God. No, not so much. But yes, I think it's going to start a trend. I think we're going to see other manufacturers just jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, then the iPhone 17 Air is not going to be the first to be super thin.
If there's going to be a 17 Air.
I mean, it's
19
inspiring that movement, right? Everybody's going that way. So I feel that nobody is asking for this to be going on this journey or trajectory of being super thin and talking about engineering itself. But in the end, in terms of consumer use and consumer user experience, I feel it's stifling. It's a handicap. We've talked about this in the last episode. It's a handicap when you've got a smaller battery. You might have heat issues because it's so thin. What about durability? We don't know. It's supposed to be tougher with a titanium frame, but who knows, right? When you sit on it, it might break. So, yeah. What was the second question again?
Before we go into the second
carbon
question.
Battery.
Yeah, before we go into carbon battery. Now, you did ask and you answered like, who asked for this? Let's go into who is this phone for?
Yeah.
Like, what was Samsung thinking in order to produce this? Because if you say that it's for the uncle and aunties of the world, that would fit in within the Google Pixel 9a, for example, or even the iPhone 16e, because of, the battery is great and they probably do not need like so many different cameras. The battery is the main thing that, our parents will never complain about, the camera not good. They will always say that the battery is not good. So who do you think that this Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge is for then?
I have no idea. I mean, to be honest, I really have no idea. I think probably people who are trendy, fashionable, maybe.
So you think
probably the younger crowd.
So you think that the
affluent
S25
and younger crowd. Yeah.
So you think that the S25 Edge is more for the younger generation, more from the older generation?
Yeah, for sure.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts on it?
I have no idea, to be completely honest.
It's a baffling product.
Yes, because if they have put in a larger battery, if they acquired the silicon carbon battery, then yes, then it's fine. Or like, for example, the Vivo V50, like the main selling point is 6,500 milliamps of battery, is as thin as the Vivo X200 Pro, but yet, that is one of the main factors. So if I was in the marketing person's shoes from Samsung, I have no idea who is my target market. Is this a case whereby they are just releasing it for the sake of releasing it? Or is this specifically for a new up-and-coming generation?
Yeah.
Can you tell me which generation, does not matter, the older generation, your Gen Z, Gen A or whatever, which generation is asking, I don't want the good battery phone?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's about a handicap, but I feel it's more looks than anything else.
It could be like a novelty thing. I have the thinnest phone, bro.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's
about it.
It's something to brag about because it is thin. It does look pretty good, although my first impressions was I thought it looked very dull and very underwhelming in terms of design.
Yeah.
Samsung could have done better, to be honest.
They probably wanted to keep it minimal, which is understandable. But let's go into the next topic. Like we said, no silicon carbon battery. Why? Why do you think Samsung haven't? We understand that you're usually not the first. This is, but why release this phone so quickly and not include latest generation silicon carbon battery to make the battery bigger?
Yeah, that's something I don't understand. Is it because it's more expensive and they had a price point to kind of fit into, which is 1099 and it's not cheap, to be honest. It's a crazy price point. It's crazy expensive. But yeah, I really don't know why they didn't put in a silicon carbon battery. For the fact that V50 did it, and
Yes.
it was a nice feature to have with that one.
The release is also weird. I felt like because they announced it during Unpacked, they probably had to rush this out. And because it was in January, and in January we probably would have not seen any readily available device which is already has the silicon carbon battery. Hence why maybe they're like, hey, maybe you don't put it in here first.
Yeah.
On the other side of the story, or the other side of the coin, would be that could they release this first? It seemed like, remember the first Fold, which did not make sense with the screen. So when they come up with S26,
So there's an iteration.
yeah, so it's like, okay, now it comes with a bigger battery.
Yeah, could be.
Could be that.
Could be.
Availability, not in Malaysia.
Yeah, before that, I think in the previous episode we talked about releases, right? The tradition of maybe, I think for Samsung and Pi it was always, you have one in the beginning, like Q1, you're going to have an S series that comes out. And then towards the end of the year in September, before the iPhone, they try to hijack that and do another unpack, right? So this is kind of like a summer release, right?
Yeah.
For S25. So it's breaking that cycle. Maybe not breaking the cycle, but adding another product to release within the year.
Yeah.
So it keeps interest up and all that stuff. It's purely marketing, perhaps.
Yeah.
We also talked about Apple trying to maybe mulling a biannual kind of release just to break the cycle. So I feel it's very strategic. Maybe this is really not a mass product anyway. It's more for niche. So we can talk about the pricing and the why it's not being released in Malaysia.
You are probably right because of the fact that it's not available everywhere. What's funny is that it's available in Singapore, which, hello neighbors, but I'm getting very annoyed at situations like this, starting from the CMF Phone 2 Pro. Remember about how you don't have the accessories in Malaysia. Why? Our country not important to y'all, is it?
I remember the Google days. It was only very recent that the Google phones became official.
But my point is that if every smartphones that Samsung released of flagship, maybe certain A series not really, is understandable. But if this Edge is going to cost 1099, and if you feel like, we should release the Fold, we should release the Flip, we should release everything here in Malaysia, why they decided to remove it from Malaysia? Do you have any guesses, or you have no idea?
I think it's a very niche product, so they're not making a lot of them.
So is the Ring. The Ring is a niche product.
Yeah, so they're not making a lot of them, and I think they're just targeting a couple of countries that could possibly maybe afford a phone like this.
So yeah, I think the conclusion of this particular news is that we don't know. So we need your thoughts. This discussion was like trying to figure it out, but it's taking us so much of effort trying to figure out why does this phone exist, who is it for, and who's going to pay 1099 for a phone which is not fully done yet. However, we will see the in-depth reviews of our fellow creators and see what they said. Because, of course, the videos which was out was all based on the first impressions and stuff like that. So we will see what they said.
My question to you is, what do you personally feel about this phone? Do you find it interesting? Do you like it in terms of design?
I like the design as opposed to what you said. You find it very simple. I like the design. I like it simple. When I saw the prototype during an unpack, I loved it. I love how it looks. I saw it even closer during MWC at the Samsung booth. It also looked great. My biggest disappointment about this is not so much on the camera. And I don't mind that not having a telephoto camera as much as we talked about it last week, because the 200 megapixel camera can actually zoom in to give you that sort of a telephoto look.
They crop and
and it's sharp. I have the confidence that it's going to be sharp. The ultra wide angle camera is great. At least they didn't remove that. If only the battery capacity was 5,000 and above, at least 5,000, I would be very much interested in this particular phone.
Okay.
Because currently, until now, among all the flagships, release in May 2025. As of the recording of this video, the S25 Ultra is the best flagship smartphone out right now.
In terms of battery life.
In terms of battery life, it is really great compared to any other flagships tested. And then they come up with a 3,900 milliamps of battery, and it's not like it's an Apple chipset. If you're using an Apple chipset, 3,900 milliamps, we'll be like, numbers does not care.
Yeah.
But we are talking about an Android flagship or Android smartphone. It is exactly what you see, what you get kind of thing. And heat dissipation, like what you said, is so thin. How are they going to manage the heat? And the Snapdragon 8 Elite, remember they have the Made for Galaxy that is tweaked specifically. It is overclocked. So if you're going to overclock with a small size phone like this,
heat might be an issue.
Yeah. So I guess since we don't have the device here with us, we just have to wait and see. And hopefully we get some good news for the sake of Samsung. But first impressions, I think, is not going to be the best things ever. So that is the first news. The second news is going to be about something that we have contrasting opinions about behind the scenes when we're talking about this.
I have a similar question.
Okay,
to
good.
This one. Yeah.
So maybe you can start off. ASUS have a fragrance mouse, whereby when you use the mouse, it comes up with some essential oil.
Wow.
It is the spa of mouses. Yes. So, yes, talk to us about that. What is your first impression?
My first question is, dude, who's this for?
I have an answer for that this time. I'm not gonna cop out and say, oh, I don't know who this is for, because I have a very compelling one. So is that the first question?
I mean,
what else do you have? Ask me.
What happened to having a mouse just for as a input or pointer device?
It is
I'll just like to move my cursor on the screen for the mouse. I don't need essential oils coming out from the butt.
Why not?
That's a good question.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, credit to ASUS for trying to do things differently, but sometimes I feel that being different, is it better?
It's not meant to be better, bro.
Okay.
It's meant to be something different, right? Remember our late Steve Jobs says, think different. This is thinking different. I like the idea of, probably because I'm a sucker for a nice smell, right? So I'm purely addicted to those Thai oil and all. And okay, probably it will change your mind if you try it. So I got the hands-on yesterday as of...
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
That's an unfair advantage. I don't have an impression. I'm just looking at photos and
Okay. So, maybe, hopefully we can get it here. I am going to do a reel. So...
It's very novel. I think it's very...
Okay, so...
Anyone has done this before, or ASUS the first one?
No, okay. So when we asked ASUS, both side and I asked ASUS, are you all the first? They don't want to answer.
Okay.
They almost gave us an Apple answer.
So,
they don't want to tell us
did
the
they
answer.
do this out of, when the creative team was having coffee at 12 a.m., 1 a.m., and they suddenly got this inspiration to do this device? Or did they have market research and say, ASUS, please build me a mouse with essential oils coming out from the ass? Or something like that.
I don't care, because they're doing something new. Why they did
What's
it...
wrong with having a humidifier at your desk?
It's cooler because, it's not only it gives a nice area smell around the area, but your hand also smells nice, bro. So it's like, imagine people who have sweaty hands, it smells funky, the hand. So this one you have like aromatherapy. Okay. So once you're done, you'll be like, hey bro, smell my hand. I really like this. I am all for this. Now, before this, there was also another news whereby ASUS coming up with a monitor which has a essential smell, essential oil smell too. Yeah. So
also is an entire kind of range of...
So I think they are doing an entire range, and I'm all for it.
Fragrance tech.
Okay, so just to let you know, just to give you context, since you don't have hands-on, so it's basically you take out the mouse. Underneath the mouse, there is another compartment separate from the battery, so that you don't have any leaking issues and stuff like that. And you put in the essential oil inside. according to ASUS, you cannot use 100% essential oils.
Gotta dilute.
Yeah,
with
you have
water.
to slightly have it. No, meaning like, so there are ones from Aesop, Hoga, Kaison, The Body Shop, Muji, and Daiso has the non 100% essential oil, where you do mix it with some water or just mix it with different elements, because if it's 100% essential oil, it's very thick, so you cannot really properly disperse it out according to them.
Okay. Makes sense.
You just put it inside there. It can last you for quite a while, which is great. Now, you did mention about how, you just want a mouse, but from a overall perspective of
Mouse perspective.
yeah, as a feature, it's actually quite good because it has 12 months of battery life. It has 10 million super quiet clicks.
But
It's
looks
quite
like
quiet.
an AA battery, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. Got it.
Bluetooth 5.3, one of the latest ones, is very ergonomic and is only 169 ringgit. So to me, I again, it comes down to
Because
why
your essential
not?
oil costs you 500 ringgit. So
Those diffuses, right? So you have it in a mouse.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I don't know.
you're-
I don't know. I'm still not. I'm
You're not convinced.
Not something I'd buy. Not something I'd buy.
I would buy it. And some of it's
And they've got this
169
thing
ringgit.
called the marshmallow keyboard,
Oh, yes.
which is
yeah.
a nice.
So talk to us about
sweet
that.
name.
Talk to us about that. What's your first impression looking at
It
it?
looks cute. I mean, it would appeal to some people, some markets. I think it looks quite okay as a keyboard, but just not convinced about the mouse
Okay.
with the smells.
I prefer the mouse more than the keyboard. Okay.
100
let's step.
169. You said okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's step into your creative mind. What's next?
I mean, if you can put essential oils into a monitor, I'm sure you can put it in a laptop or keyboard and mouse. And other stuff.
Let's go crazier. I was thinking Wi-Fi in your slippers.
Why would you to track your steps?
No, because track your steps got, but imagine you can bring a Wi-Fi dongle on your shoe, on your slipper.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, I didn't have coffee at 12 a.m. to come up with that, but Yeah.
You'll always have
but if
connection.
it's ASUS, yeah, maybe a monitor they've already done it. Maybe a laptop. If you're talking about
go crazy, right? Why
Yeah.
not put it everywhere if
Yeah.
you're talking about essential oils? If it's just a
how
compartment.
about like a whoop band, but you put essential oils here. So you go like the Thai oil. Mo knows how much I love the Thai oil.
the Thai oil? Okay.
Okay, so
Famous for that.
so
yes.
the conclusion of this particular story, you're still weird about this.
Yeah, I'm
You
weirded
wouldn't
out,
buy it?
but some people will buy it. People like you will buy it. So
I still need
alright.
my MX Master mouse in order for me to use it for Final Cut Pro.
is there a gaming mouse that has fragrance?
No, I
Or
doubt
they
it.
seem to
It's
have
just
a
a
few,
regular.
right?
Yeah, they do have, but they don't have the fragrance one. The fragrance one is only specifically for this particular model.
So
Okay,
gamers
so-
can't smell nice.
They'll need to spray extra perfume because they're gaming whole day. Lah. Okay, third news of the day is Apple. Now, this is one of the things whereby it has come back and forth
Yeah,
many
it's been
times.
a long time.
So they are looking to have an AI smart glasses.
Are they really?
Apparently so. They're going to be focusing on a lightweight design, of course, because that's one of the main things, which is the Apple Vision Pro. That's a whole different thing altogether. They're going to have a bit more AR heavy features. Of course, they're going to complement the Vision Pro, not to replace it in total. They are also expected to include real-time information overlay. That is something which I like. Or even like voice control, that is fine. But I like the information overlay. Instead of you typically going back to your phone,
Yeah.
you have that
More
visual
holographic,
overlay,
right?
which is
Yep.
nice. And as opposed to what Meta has. So I do have the Meta sunglasses.
What do you think about it? I find it really cool. I haven't used it yet.
Okay.
But I find it really cool, and it's something that I'll probably buy.
The only reason why I got it is because it was super cheap on Target when I was in the
Oh,
US.
the US, you bought it. Okay.
And after convert, it was so much cheaper. It was like 1,200
It was only
ringgit.
$200 US.
Yeah. So the POV video and the camera shots was really helpful, especially when I bring Luna around the house and, like going for Chinese New Year and stuff. That was fun. the Meta AI is region specific. But even then, I changed my phone region to US and stuff. It was something whereby I used it for a while and I'll be like, okay, whatever. I think the reason being is you still have to refer back to your phone. I think if you have like a visual screen or any sort of a text, like when you look at something, instead of you looking at the phone, it's like, hey, Meta, can you tell me what is this flower? So you will reply in audio, which is fine, but having the extra text would be nice.
Right.
Or like, show me my calendar. And then it shows you like, okay, 3 o'clock you have to
So
show
it doesn't
more.
do that at the moment.
It doesn't.
Okay.
So it doesn't have that. So I personally feel like if Apple includes that real-time information, only then it can win the Meta. But what do you like about the Meta currently, and what do you feel like, even though you didn't try it, but what do you like about the Meta sunglasses, and what do you feel like you would like to have on top of that?
I think, firstly, I feel that in terms of design, it doesn't look like a pair of smart glasses. It doesn't look tacky. It doesn't. It's something that I can use every day and just put it on, and people won't think that, hey, you're wearing Apple Vision Pro walking around, right? And I like that. I like that it gives you information. I'm not so much into the photo capturing, video capturing. I feel that that's quite superficial. It's something that you can also use with your phone with.
Interesting.
Yeah. I feel where it could really be really useful would be something like Gemini Live, where I can ask it questions based on, let's say, I need more information about an object, a place, or something like that, text, and it can reply me either in voice or in holographic form with copy on the glasses. I feel that's where it's really useful. I think it's very useful in navigation. Like if I needed turn-by-turn navigation and I'm walking on the street, it would be perfect for glasses like that. I think, again, it's going back some years. I think it's going back 10 years when Google Glasses were a thing. 2014, 2015 maybe. But the hype died down because of privacy issues, because it was more about capturing content, right? What about people's faces? What about, IP and copyright and stuff like that? So that was a huge issue for privacy. But I feel that's also where it's very useful for me in a personal case. Sometimes when you meet someone, you totally forget his or her name.
Yeah.
You know her or you know that person, but you forget the name.
Yeah.
What if these glasses could recognize that person and give you some information? Oh, you've met her here, and this is what she does, blah, blah, blah. And you'll be able to start that conversation without being embarrassed about it. I think it's about it's about that. I feel that very useful to me in that use case.
I think Mo will use this a lot. So imagine, sorry, inside joke. So imagine he wears this, or someone who dates a lot.
You forget their name,
you
right?
Look at her and you be like, okay, you did this to her on this particular day. Yeah, so this one you went out with her 5 times.
Yeah.
And you went here and here. Holy, like
no, it's
quite
useful, right?
Mm.
It's useful. It's useful. Like
Number one
information about
customer,
people.
Mohammed. So yeah, that's interesting. But let's talk about the ideas of how Apple could do. I mean, let's come up with some discussion based on, or what do you think, how Apple can benefit this besides the ecosystem? Because Apple doesn't come up with things first; they always come up with the best.
Yeah,
And
trying to be better and improve.
So, how do you feel like the best way that Apple could make this better, as compared to the Metas, or even if Google comes back with their smart glasses?
I feel it's going to be on a similar vein, very similar vein, and maybe the Apple Vision Pro will give you clues about where it's headed. I think in a general space, it's really about information capture and how contextually it will be beneficial to you. I feel that's the case. Apple Vision Pro has obviously more broad kind of applications where it can be educational, it can be informational, stuff like that. But I feel it's going to be a little bit more accessible and something that you could use and wear every day.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
would use
Apple
it. I would use it from an Apple perspective is if you could do AirPlay to expand my screen on the
A bit like
on the glasses.
how Apple Vision Pro
Does it. But yeah, so if that, because you know how there's a lot of current glasses from different brands, like I forgot the brand name. There's different ones whereby
Where they
you
extend your screen.
can extend the screen where you just use a USB-C and you just plug it to
Yeah,
your,
but
your
that is
laptop.
standard,
Yeah.
right?
So imagine
Because
if
it
it's
needs a lot of
wireless. Yeah.
firepower and battery life as well.
So that would be great because at least like, okay, I sit down on my Mac or even the iPad, I want an extra screen. And instead of using wired, you can use AirPlay and then you'll be like, oh, there's another screen here kind of thing. And then you go
Yeah, that's
up
interesting.
and down. Probably can, I think that would
That's
be
useful. That's useful.
That could be something whereby
You might have to carry a backpack to
Yeah.
plug in the battery and stuff.
So yeah, I think if this happens, then they can really compete with the Metas
I mean,
of the
based
world.
on this article, they're saying that it may come out 2026, 2027. Who knows? I mean, it's hard to say. It's very hard to speculate in terms of Apple news because they don't talk about it. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
Manufacturing might leak some stuff out, or some industry analysts like Ming would probably say something.
Yep.
But I mean, the latest was the Bloomberg report, and they're doing a custom chip, which is obvious thing that Apple will do
Yes.
with the Apple Silicon. But yeah, I mean, if it comes out, I'm sure it will look great. But I think the benchmark right now would be Meta's Ray-Ban.
Agreed. Okay, for the final news for today before we go into the community question is based on Apple's brand new accessibility features.
Love it.
Now,
Yep.
here's the thing. Everybody talks about how Apple is not the first, but when they come up with something is one of the best. But when it comes to accessibility features, Apple has always been the best and one of the first. And I'm sure you agree with me on
I
that.
absolutely agree with you.
They have really taken this more seriously compared to any other brands in the world, whether or not it's on your phone, whether or not it's on the iPad. There are lots of different features, including a new magnifying app, which was available on the iPhone, but right now on the Mac as well. So give us a quick rundown on what is new and what can we expect, especially with WWDC coming.
Sure. I mean, I echo what you said about Apple being the best in accessibility. I think they've been a clear leader and have always walked the talk. They've always been committed to accessibility and making technology accessible to the differently abled. And whether you have a vision impairment or a hearing impairment, there's always Apple makes it easier for you to be able to use the device and communicate, stuff like that. So these upgrades of this new suite of accessibilities is a very long list.
Yeah.
I think you've mentioned the new magnifier for Mac, which is previously available for iPhone and iPad. And there's also this ability to use the Mac's camera and continuity camera, which I use a lot for video calls.
Yeah.
Or any other USB camera that you connect to, you can zoom in your physical surroundings and even read documents using the desk view. So you can kind of put a document there and it reads for you. And also multitask using multiple windows. There's a whole lot more features, including accessibility reader, which is a really cool application. It's system-wide. It's a reading mode for people with low vision or dyslexia, so it helps them a lot. I think one groundbreaking addition is the Braille access.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, for people, it's a system-wide experience that transforms your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, Apple Vision Pro as well, into a Braille note-taking device.
Yeah, man.
Which is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You can take notes, perform calculations, and open Braille-ready format files.
Yep.
So I have no experience with that, but I think people who are vision impaired would appreciate this a lot. And also the other feature is live captions are coming to
Apple Watch.
Apple Watch.
I was just about to talk about that. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's a very cool device. And you can also use it as a remote control for live listen sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is what we talk about and what it really means to be within the Apple ecosystem from the accessibility features. And among all, and I feel like this is not only something which is beneficial towards people who need the accessibility features. I'm excited with the head tracking because this is
eye
something,
tracking. Yeah, eye tracking as
because
well. Yeah.
based on the newsroom from apple.com, you have a toggle for head tracking, but there's actions like raising eyebrows, open mouth, smile, stick out tongue, and more. So imagine the amount of things that you can do within that. So like a lot of people still do not know that if you tap the back of your iPhone, you can bring out your notification center if you go into the accessibility settings.
Yep.
So imagine that if you could do this action to open apps and stuff like that, that for me is innovation at its best. And I think Apple going towards this direction really solidifies themselves as the best when it comes to accessibility.
Absolutely.
As well.
I totally agree with you on that. And the weird thing about Apple is they hide a lot of features within the accessibility menu. Do you realize that?
Yeah.
A lot of settings that you can access to is within the accessibility menu or settings.
Yeah, that's correct.
I use that as well. What I used to do on my iPhone was every time I get a notification, it flashes my LED.
Oh,
So instead,
that's-
because I keep my phone silent, so it never rings. So what I do is I enable it in accessibility to have it flash instead of vibrate or ring.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that news is very good for for situations where especially sometimes we forget that there's a lot of people among us who needs this feature, and Apple is still the best when it comes to this. Okay, so let's go into the final highlight, which is the community post. As usual, we enjoy this part because we have so many things to discuss about and give us
Yeah.
our input, but feel free to do so.
It's just fun.
This week's question was that, which AI feature do you normally use on your smartphone? So we had a total of 4 different options: AI eraser, circle to search, AI translation, and AI assistant. The votes came in. This is literally about 3 days ago.
I'm very surprised at the results, honestly.
It's always surprising, which is nice. The
Think different.
the results were circle to search being number 1, which is understandable.
Oh.
I'm surprised that the AI assistant,
Yeah.
nobody used it at all. And look, this AI assistant could also be ChatGPT, which is so good at voice commands and conversations. Like your Google Assistant right now with Gemini, maybe because of how Siri always talks to ChatGPT, so maybe a lot of people don't use it as much. But I'm surprised to see that, AI assistant being second last. AI translation, that is, of course, based on situations. Maybe a lot of people don't use it because maybe they use their cameras. But what are your thoughts about this? But before we talk about the thoughts, I want to know, which one of this do you use the most?
Yeah, assistant for sure. Yeah.
Number 2?
Translation, maybe. When I'm traveling, especially.
That's interesting.
Especially.
Okay.
Circle to search, almost never.
Right?
AI eraser maybe twice in my life. Yeah, so I'm quite intrigued by the comments in here. I would have expected AI assistant to be leading because we kind of use it every day.
Exactly.
Right?
I didn't think circle search would be number 1. It is a cool feature, and it is something whereby, probably because we don't go out much to look for information on the fly, maybe that's the reason why. Because remember, circle to search could not only work based on an image, but it also can work based on cameras. So you can take out your camera and then just point at something and use circle to search, which means that majority of the people voted over here are Android users.
I was going to say, would it make sense if it was iPhone? And would the poll be different if we could split iPhone and Android?
Yeah, if we could.
So yeah, I was about to say, when you said circle to search, my perception with it was that most of them would be Android users.
So we do have the comments like from Dilinka 3D said, I've always wondered what are the practical uses for circle to search could be. So I think in a nutshell, it's all about seeing anything on your screen, you just circle and then it will come out.
For
at
me,
Google
it's
search
an
results.
extension of Google Lens.
Yeah.
In those days, you just grab a picture and it tells you what it is.
And also
But now
Delinka,
it's
you can use
a
it
bit
if
better.
you want to, like I said, take out the camera, you just point at something, you can just circle, even without taking a picture. Mahmoud Hussein says circle the search more than 100 times a day, bro. That's a lot.
Wow. What do you search for, bro?
Very useful AI feature till now on any smartphone. Not any, but yeah. Gemini. So Gemini, this guy Yu JD was saying more on Gemini probably because of the fact that, that's more, I think, on the AI voice assistant.
Right.
Uncle Tam, who is a very frequent commenter. So thank you, Uncle. We appreciate you. I don't know whether you're really uncle or you're just using because we both are uncles. Circle the search and then AI eraser, that's all. Chat GPT app, LOL. So I guess this ties into the
assistant.
AI assistant. Then we got Hirak says none of this. Good for you, bro.
So it doesn't use AI at all? Use
probably.
human technology.
Yeah. So for you, just a recap. Number one will be AI assistant.
Yes. Translation.
Followed by translation, then eraser.
Yeah.
So
Most
circle
likely.
the search is the last.
Don't use it.
That's interesting. For
Yeah,
me,
I don't use it.
For me, AI assistant is one, especially Gemini and Gemini and Chat GPT. Gemini feels still more conversational, but
So you're saying Gemini as a whole or Gemini Live? Do you use
Gemini Live.
Because that's where you
yes.
point. That's
but
so useful.
the pointing thing I hardly do, to be honest, but it's more
That's
like
so useful.
brainstorming. The brainstorming works very well. ChatGPT, the reason why I always go back to ChatGPT is because the memory feature is so good. So like sometimes, right, when I ask it a particular question, because of the memory feature, which gathering my
remembers
data,
what you
I
said
don't
10
care.
years ago. Okay.
Yes. So I go like, hey, remember that friend I talked to you about? He said, yeah, that friend. He knows.
Wow.
This is something where I still feel like Gemini Live especially cannot do that perfectly. Hence
Gemini
why
is
I
a
use
little
that.
bit more like sandbox. Like
So
Claude.
some people don't like that because it's like, wow, you know too much information about me. Like, I was creating the brand story for Adam Lobo Media Group. So I went and based on my company, can you create a brand story? I didn't have to give it context based on Adam Lobo Media Group being a tech
Right.
YouTube. No. So it's easier to have that sort of a conversation. When I was planning my proposal with my wife for the podcast, so there was a lot of conversations whereby I didn't have to give the context. Now, I remember the proposal that I planned to do. What if I did this way to do it? So immediately ChatGPT knew that, this was based on the context of
Right.
my proposal immediately without me re-explaining that.
Right.
So AI assistant would be my number one. Number two would be AI eraser. I guess because I'm a very visual guy. When I take a photo, sometimes I even want to post something on stories. So I use AI eraser as the secondary. AI translation, almost never. Because even though I'm always with people around, like if I were to go to China, usually most of the things are in English anyway. The only time I used AI translation recently was when I went to Mallorca in Spain, because most of the areas were not in English. It was still in Spanish. Circle to search, you're right. Circle to search is my last one. I don't use circle to search at all.
Yeah, I don't.
So to me, I feel that it's interesting how circle to search is number one for all of y'all, but it's like zero for me.
Yeah. Interesting to know. Yeah.
So yeah, that would be it. And thank you so much for giving those replies and that as well. For the video releases, as you're watching this video, we have finally released the Huawei Watch Fit 4 video. A very good smartwatch. It's like the Apple Watch cut into half, but battery life is amazing. The health features is really mind-blowing because when I went to China to see their True Sense lab, where they have a basketball court, they had a treadmill, they had machines, they had a swimming pool within there. Their True Sense system is definitely one of the best, if not the best. So Huawei has released the Huawei Watch Fit 4 and also the Huawei Watch 5 by the time you're watching this video. So it's a very good smartwatch. It is compatible with both iOS and Android compared to what Samsung has done with this Ring. Speaking of Ring, first impressions, very good. we'll talk about that in a full in-depth review. So I don't like the fact that the Ring is not compatible with iOS devices. So which means that I always have to carry both phones, like an Android, like my S25 Ultra and also the iPhone all the time. So that would be the video which is released yesterday by the time you watch this video. But if you haven't, make sure you check it out. And finally, we'll be releasing tomorrow the Vivo V50 Lite.
I'm looking forward to that one.
So that is also very interesting. The fact that, I would say the only issue that I have is the video. So if you want to see and you want to know why, you can check it out for tomorrow's video as well. Next week, we won't have any session because both Leon and I will be heading to China for a very special event. We will let you guys know soon. So hence why we won't be here. But hopefully we can collect all the news for an even cooler episode that we have for you all for episode 13
we'll have a 2-hour
as well.
session.
Can you handle it?
Can you handle it? Yeah, that's right.
Okay, that concludes our episode 17 for this particular week. Don't forget to like and share this video if you find it helpful. And of course, for those of you who actually listening to this on an audio podcast, thank you guys so much for all the downloads. The Apple podcast is still the highest among all of the audio podcasts, so that is very much appreciated. With that, we like to conclude this particular episode 17. My name is Adam Lobo.
My name is Vernon. Signing off.
And we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.